Hello, boys and girls. It's great to be with you. As I was out a walk this week, I saw something inside lots of people's windows that made me smile. It was a lovely picture of a rainbow. Maybe you've put one in the window of your house too. I know that lots of boys and girls all across the country have been putting little rainbows in the windows of their houses just to show the doctors and nurses in the hospitals that they are thinking about them. Rainbows are beautiful. They make us smile and they cheer us up after a really rainy day. But today I want us to think about the very first rainbow that was ever made. It all started with a man called Noah. Noah was a really good man. He loved God and he tried to live his life the way God wanted him to. But poor Noah lived in a world that was very much the opposite. He was surrounded by people who did not love God. They lived their lives their own way, and because of this, the world was full of evil and full of sin. God was angry with these people. It made him really sad to see how his beautiful world had become so destroyed and so wicked. So God had had enough. He decided that the time was right to do something about it. He decided that the world needed a fresh start, and so he was going to send a flood to wash the world clean again, to give them a fresh start so that it would be clean and new. But because God loved Noah, he didn't want Noah to be destroyed in the flood. So he had a plan to rescue Noah. He gave Noah instructions on how to build a great big boat called an ark. It was a bit of a strange plan, but it meant that Noah wouldn't drown in the flood and that he would be saved and rescued. So Noah got to work with his wood and his hammer and nails, building his great big boat. Finally, it was finished. It took an awful long time to build the boat, but he got there in the end. And once it was finished, Noah and his family started to load the boat full of food. They were going to need quite a lot of food because they would be in it for a very long time. Kind of reminds me of what it's like with us today. We're all stuck inside and we're not allowed to go to the shop unless we really, really have to. And I'm sure your mum and dad have bought in some extra food just so they don't have to go to the shop so often. It was a bit like that for Noah, only he needed a lot more food. God had a plan to rescue the animals too. He didn't want them all to drown in the flood either. So he sent them in groups of 2 to Noah's big boat. The boat had to be really big to fit them inside. Some of the special animals called clean animals came in groups of 7 as well. I don't know how God did this. It must have been really amazing to watch all of the animals coming towards the great big boat. But our God is powerful and mighty and nothing is too hard for him. Not even bringing all the animals to the ark. So once Noah and his family and all the animals were safely inside, God shut the door. The people outside, I'm sure they had watched Noah for a long time building his boat, and maybe they thought he was a bit mad, that he was a bit crazy. After all, there was no sea nearby for him to sail his boat. Why on earth did Noah need a boat? I'm sure they maybe laughed at him as well and thought he was a bit mad. But then the rain started, and it got heavier and heavier, and puddles started to form on the ground. And then the puddles got so big that they turned into streams. And the streams, well, they got so big they turned into rivers. And the rivers got so big that they burst their banks, and the water started to rise higher and higher and higher. But it was too late for the people outside the boat. I'm sure Noah and his family felt a bit strange being in a big boat full of lots of smelly animals, but I'm sure they were really glad too that God had decided to rescue them. Do you know, we're a wee bit like Noah. We need God to rescue us as well. You see, that problem of sin that all the people had, well, we have that problem inside us too. But it's a very tricky problem because we can't get rid of it on our own. We need God to take our sin away for us. So God had a rescue plan for us. It was a bit more special than a big boat. In fact, it was very special indeed. God's rescue plan was to send his son Jesus to this world. Instead of punishing us for the wrong things we do, God punished Jesus instead when he died on the cross. He loves you so much that he wants you to be his friend like Noah was. He wants you to trust in Jesus and turn away from your sin. I wonder, have you trusted in Jesus? Are you God's friend like Noah was? Well, the days went on, and eventually Noah and his family felt a great big thud. The boat had landed on top of something really hard. It had landed on top of a mountain. That's how high the water was. So Noah decided to send a raven out, and it flew round and round and round until it found somewhere safe to land. After the raven, he sent out a dove to see if the water had gone from the ground. But the poor dove couldn't find anywhere to land, and so it came straight back to Noah again. After 7 days, Noah decided to try again, so he sent the dove out of the window, and this time it came back with a little leaf from an olive tree. The water had gone down the level of the trees. This was really exciting, but the ground was still wet. So Noah waited 7 more days. This time, when he sent the dove out, it didn't come back. Finally, the water was down. Noah and his family were so excited, and God gave them the command that finally they could come out of the ark. Noah was so thankful to God that he built an altar just to say thank you. I'm sure they loved the smell of the fresh air and the warmth of the sunshine on their face and the feeling of the fresh grass underneath their feet. I'm sure it must have felt so good. Noah was just so thankful to God. God was really pleased with Noah, so he gave him a special promise. Never again would God flood the whole world. To show God's promise, he gave Noah a special sign, the first ever rainbow. Every time Noah would see that rainbow, he would be reminded of God's promise, of how he had rescued him in the ark, of how he would never flood the whole world again. The rainbow reminds me of God's promises too. It reminds me of God's promise to rescue me, of how he sent Jesus to the world to die so that I wouldn't have to be punished for my sin, so that I could be God's friend. Maybe you've drawn a rainbow and put it in your window, and if you have, that's brilliant. But I hope that as you look at your little rainbow, you would remember something else now. You would remember God, how he rescued Noah, and how he wants to rescue you too, how he wants to be your friend. Thanks for listening. See you soon.